All right, guys. Hey, so apparently another trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie dropped like sometime late yesterday or earlier this morning. I don't really know. But I saw the recommendation for it when I was at work, and I was like, "Oh boy, do I have a video idea for tonight?" Which was kind of like a blessing, from the heavens, because I didn't have a good gaming video for today. So this is gonna kind of take its place. And anyway, I kind of want to get off this starting screen because it's a little awkward, but I'm hoping that it's loud enough for you guys. We're gonna watch it straight through, and I'll do my reaction to it, and then we'll go back and we'll do our like analysis or whatever we do. So anyway, getting off the screen, let's do this. Also, I'm hoping
So
it's
you
loud enough for you
wanna
guys.
tell me about your bad dreams?
It's always the same.
Your dad. We're never gonna be able to move forward
The box.
until you deal with some of the mess you left in your head.
My father was a monster. You know that.
Everyone called it an accident, but it wasn't until years later when those 5 children went
Is that
missing
Henry?
that I knew she was murdered by him.
Are you ever gonna go back to Freddy's, I mean?
I think my sister is here.
Where are you gonna run to?
Wicked Freddy.
What do they want with my sister? Half of this town will be dead by morning.
My boy. I don't know what the heck just got recommended to me here, but like that was good. Okay, I'm gonna mute it because we might want to listen to. I'm gonna mute it. We'll put it at small volume, like that. Okay, so going off here, this is definitely much more. I feel like story driven than the last trailer. The last trailer seemed more like a hype trailer, like a hey, we've got all this kind of stuff. It seemed more of like an introductory trailer, which makes sense. It was the first like actual trailer, makes sense, introductory, all that kind of stuff. This seems to be giving us a lot more of the plot. Obviously, we got a little bit of a hint of it in the last trailer, but this is very much going to deal with Vanessa's trauma from William Afton. I don't know what the heck's happening to my voice right now. I apologize. I don't know what just happened. I did just get home from work and I'm recording this, but it very much is going to deal with her trauma from good old Willy Afton and everything that he did as an awful person. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers and dotting my I's that she's not a robot. I don't think she is, but we'll have to see. So it very much seems like that's going to be her central plot point, is going to be figuring out like who she is and dealing with William Afton and all of the trauma he caused. So that's going to be her story. Mike's story, I don't know. Like, to me, he seems less like the main character. Like, in the last one, he was the main character, obviously, because, he's Mike Schmidt. Like, so he's the main character. But here, it seems a lot less like he's the main character. Like, it seems like Vanessa's being propped up more. Abby's going to be probably propped up more as a very influential character, or, like, important character, I guess. So, it seems like Mike is going to be obviously the main character, but I don't know what his, story arc's going to be. Because the first one, which I actually just recently rewatched, his story arc is like, hey, I'm going to learn to, I guess take care of my sister, and that's really about it. Like he learns to be a better person, I guess you could say, and learns to kind of move on from the past. I guess that's a good way to put it too. Like he's learned to be a better person, and he's learned to kind of move on from the past and care about the things that he has now. So that's his character arc in the first movie. I don't know what they're gonna do for this one. I will have to just wait and see. It seems like obviously he's gonna have some connection to Vanessa because I mean that was set up, but her very much like this. This is kind of a weird frame to pause on. I don't know what I'm looking at. So she's running down a hallway, but then you also have another picture of somebody running, and then you got like, who the heck are these two? I don't know what I'm looking at here. It's kind of odd, but so this is her house, her and William's house. So obviously the shot of him standing, we got to see a similar shot like this in the first trailer, I think, where he's kind of standing in this doorway and it's ominous. I think that that's part of this flashback and or haunting scene. Which I wouldn't be surprised. This giving me the kind of same lighting as the one where the puppet shows up behind her. So this could be a haunting or a flashback. But she runs through and hides somewhere. But the weird part here, I'm confused about what they're going to be doing. Because I mean, obviously we saw in the first movie, Afton doesn't really give a crap about his daughter. But like, at least it seemed like, I don't know, like, William Afton doesn't really care about anybody, right? It's William Afton. But upon rewatching the first movie, the part I like, and I think this is just Matthew Lillard's acting being really great. So he stabs Vanessa, right? Like he doesn't want to, but then he stabs Vanessa, and for a split half of a second, he actually looks like he feels awful for what he just did, and I like that because it makes him a person. But then obviously he moves on. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go kill this kid. So I'm curious to see what this is like. If he was a bad father, like I don't want to say any specific words because I don't know how YouTube's gonna, take that. But I think you guys maybe are trying to get what I'm saying, like a father that's not necessarily kind to his kid. So I'm curious to see what this specific scene is going to be. The yellow is giving me a Springlock suit, because it's the yellow eyelids. But I'm trying to make it out particularly. It's giving me kind of Endo 02 vibes, but it's really dark, and I can't tell. But he has some sort of workshop. We get to see Freddy Fazbear, which, like, buddy, if he drew this, I ain't an artist. I could probably try to draw a little bit better. His head looks so wonky here, and then he looks so chubby over here. I don't know what I'm looking at, but is there anything here for performance? Eyes to glow, okay. But this is, so I think this is probably William's stuff, I'm assuming. Or this is Henry's. I mean, I don't know. I can't say for certain. But I'll talk about how I think William's going to tie into the whole plot of this movie later on here. So we get the Blumhouse logo, yada, yada, yada. FNAF 4 box! I'm kidding, it's just a box. So she's got, like, random trophies she's setting up. So there's the bag of candy, there's a book, there's, I don't know, looks kind of like a mirror. And then the toy plane. And then this shot of just Matthew Lillard just standing there.
You know that.
I like the transition of him pulling out the kitchen knife there to him here. This is presumably going to be Missing Children's Incident, like a flashback of some kind. He looks terrifying here. Like, I loved how the suit looked in the first movie. This looks infinitely better. Also, I love the kind of emphasis on the buck teeth in this version. I don't know if it was too prevalent on the last one. I like it here. So I think that this is supposed to be Charlie. I'm assuming. It's kind of hard to tell fully, but it looks like some sort of yeah, like a family album. So there's the FNAF 2 location. I'm assuming this is when Mike is talking to Henry. I'm assuming that's Henry. I think that's the actor for Henry. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I think that's who that is. So this is presumably Charlie. And a letter, I guess, from her. I'm just assuming that's who this is.
But it wasn't until
I think that's the actor for Henry. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 99% sure that's who this is.
years later when those 5 children.
Okay, so they got the picture frame. Yeah, I kind of want to listen to what he's saying, so we're going to go back and we're going to listen to what he's saying here.
You know that.
Everyone called it an accident, but it wasn't until years later when those 5 children went missing that I knew she was murdered.
Okay, so they called it an accident. I'm curious what they're setting up, because Charlie's death in the games, we know, was very much not an accident. Like, when you just look at it, like, what? She just died? like I don't know. It's kind of hard to twist that into an accident. So I'm curious to see. And then her death in the books is very ambiguous. They don't give us a death for her. She's just taken by William, and then I think that's all that's assumed from the books. So I'm curious to see what they're gonna go for her. She's pretty much a clean slate in this movie, so I think that's fine. So we get the flashback to the missing kids, right? Freddy Fazbear's Pizza grand reopening. So we get some people standing around here. I'm not going to go through the whole text. William Afton's early ambition. So there's a whole article on him. I'm curious. Is he going to be set up as a big inventor?
She was murdered.
So Henry figures that out. It's pretty easy. I'm not going to freaking read all of this. I can leave that up to like FNAF or Singing Game Theory. I'm not reading all of this. William Afton. So this definitely seems like a positive note from him. Or towards him. As far as I can kind of tell. The opening of his Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurant, where his animatronic characters heavily feature, has made him a well-respected member of the local business community as well. Designed animatronics, I don't know what the heck in there. Athens animatronics are his crowning achievement. Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy are brought to life. From the outside, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, children gather, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Oh, wait, there was something at the bottom. Athens' ambitions don't stop here, though. He is excited to announce the potential for his future creations. He recently started an experiment with to experiment with new ideas and technologies, looking for new ways to improve and innovate, I'm assuming. He always has ever something characters in development, or more characters in development, as well as fun something. I can't read all this. It's kind of blurry. But they're just talking about his new stuff. I'm curious what happened here. So this is while it's open. I thought maybe this was going to be some sort of haunting scene, but this is while it's open. I'm assuming this is this the same lady? What time stamp are we at? 49? Where's the picture of her? That's her. That's her. So presumably Charlie, but who is this guy, this kid? I think we saw him in one of the other trailers. I think Afton was like staring at him or something. I'm curious to see who this is. And if they'll try to incorporate something with the Bite of 83 in here, I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Also, I do want to bring that fact up, that the FNAF 2 location in this movie is called the original location. So it presumably is like the original location. So I'm curious to see how they tie in all that kind of stuff. But she's freaking out here that somebody's dead, presumably. They're all startled. They didn't see her show up or yell. So I don't know if this is supposed to be some sort of haunting, or if this is her freaking out because somebody's dead and she saw what happened, maybe. But she collapses to the ground. The kid, I'm assuming that's who this is. He looks okay. He's standing up. Or he's kneeling down, too? Maybe this is a haunting scene? I don't know.
Are you ever gonna go back?
So I'm curious to see what that is. So, but that's obviously Charlie, like, origin story. So we have Abby, and then we have this schmuck. I don't know who this is. Just some kid, I guess. We need to introduce new characters. Obviously, this looks way more worn down, but there's still power here, which is interesting. But this is Abby showing up to the location. I love that sign. It looks really great. I mean, Foxy's not up there, but whatever.
I think my sister is here.
He somehow has a little brochure to the place. Grand reopening. Freddy Fazbear. Oh, this might be when he's talking to Henry still. Oh, maybe that's what. Well, we'll talk about the plot later. I just want to keep going through here. I love the way the place looks. I think it looks really cool. The cave thing I'll talk about later. That'll tie into the twisted ones. So Toy Chica on December 5th. You know, I got a half day that day. You know, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more so I can kind of hear a little bit better. So what I was initially confused by in the first trailer is we see Mike sitting in the office of the FNAF 2 location by himself. And then he's getting attacked by the animatronics. And I'm like, well, he's not working there. Because, like, this isn't a job for him to work. So I was curious to see why he was there. But it seems like Vanessa's there with him. Why is it all of a sudden quieter? What?
Where are you gonna run to?
Oh, it's just because the scene's quiet. Okay, so they hear Balloon Boy laugh.
Where are you gonna run to?
Who says that? Here, let's put subtitles on. Okay, so subtitles, where are you going to run to?
Where are you gonna run to?
I'm curious to see who says that. Okay, but we get our first shot at all of the Withers. We get to see Withered Freddy, at least just his face. First time seeing him, he looks cool. I'm going to turn it back down a little bit here. He looks cool. I think Withered Bonnie honestly looks the best out of all of them. He looks pretty good, though. I think maybe this part of his snout's a little too bright, but I think he looks okay. Chica looks freaking terrifying. The first time we saw her in the first trailer when she's attacking Mike, I wasn't the biggest fan of her design. This shot right here is terrifying. She looks amazing in this shot. The huge freaking bulbous eyes, amazing work on her design. Withered Bonnie, also amazing. I think he's going to be probably one of my favorites, up there with Mangle in terms of like the way they get the design and the movement to work. So I'm looking forward to him. Foxy looks pretty cool too. I'm not the biggest fan of Withered Foxy's design in general, but I think he looks pretty cool. A new set of rules. I didn't even read the text for this. A new set of rules. So the puppet reaching over, we saw that stuff in the first trailer. What does he say?
What do they want with my sister?
Maybe I should just put the subtitles on. We can get to read it that way. So this is part of the house attack. So she's freaking out because somebody... That's a freaking scream face if I've ever seen one. So she's freaking out. He looks terrifying. Hi, Toy Freddy. A new level of fear. So yeah, this is part of that house attack. The toys are presumably... Half of the town will be dead by morning. I want to tie that into the twisted ones because I really like that. But the way that Toy Freddy moves in that shot...
This town will be dead.
Looks kind of like the way his head moves is kind of creepy. We have to pause on my boy Toy Bonnie. He looks amazing here. This is the first time we're seeing him in like full. He looks freaking... I mean, aside from like some of those like tour stuff, but he looks amazing here in the movie. You know, they did an amazing job on his design. I think his is probably up there. I mean, he has to be because I like Toy Bonnie, but like his design wise, I think is like up there with my favorites for the movie so far. Up there with Withered Bonnie and Mangle. I think they nailed all three of those designs like perfectly. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, and the fact that he's gonna be going around just killing people added to the creepiness. And with a screwdriver too. Chica looks okay. I'm not the biggest Toy Chica fan in general, but I think her design looks okay. So this is her hunting down that one random guy in the school or whatever. So he was hiding under a table, but like he had his legs sticking out, so I don't know what he was expecting to happen. This thing of Balloon Boy here. I think they nailed his design well, but like, or is this JJ? This might be JJ. Wait, hang on a second. This could be JJ. Because it doesn't really look like Balloon Boy. This might be JJ. I don't know. I can't tell. It's a little dark. Like the lighting's a little dark. Either Balloon Boy or I think this is JJ. Now that they have like just the eyes peeking out, because that's what JJ does under the you know, like when in the FNAF 2 little like teaser for her. So this might be a JJ reference. I don't know. But it's one of them dang suckers that try to steal your power or whatever. We have Creepo here. I'm assuming this is Jeremy, because he like leads the ghost hunters and the Ghostbusters or whatever at the start. Okay, so here we have Withered Chica walking around. You can see Withered Freddy behind her. People cowering their homes. Mangle's attacking the car, which causes them to crash. I think Abby's in there, but then Abby's gone here, so presumably she gets taken. But Mangle looks freaking amazing. I think she's going to have the best effects. And then I think that's everything. Oh, there's like... Yeah, there's the Withered Foxy attack. He looks okay. You know, I'm just not the biggest fan of him in general, but he looks okay. Alright, so that's everything in here. I think this is definitely much more character-driven than the last one. The last one was setting up, like, I think just the setting. This is much more character-driven. So I want to share my overall thoughts and predictions. So take this as sort of a... I guess like a pre-writing the movie. You know, people have asked me to do that. And take this as sort of me predicting the movie or what I think is going to happen. I was going to actually make this a video. Coincidentally enough, I was going to make like a prediction video for, here, we'll get a cool shot of Willy A in here. I was going to make a prediction video for FNAF 2, for the FNAF 2 movie on like a few days from now. But I guess I'm doing that here because I didn't expect this to come out just randomly during the week. So, I've brought it up before, but I have, you know, talking about what I've predicted was going to happen in this movie and a lot of the tie-ins with the Twisted Ones. We're getting a lot of flashbacks, which means we're going to get tie-ins to obviously like, well, one FNAF 2, but we'll get tie-ins to, I think, other stuff. There's going to be some Silverized references with a group of teens to young adults checking out the creepy Freddy's location, and then they're being led by a kind of creepy tour guide kind of a dude. So that's obviously very Silverized, kind of happens in that book. It's, I mean, a little bit different, but so we're getting that connection to the novels. This is very Missing Children / What Happens to Charlie, which I think is going to be really good because this will be like the first time we actually get any info about what the heck happened like to her at all. Because in Pizza Sim, she's just banging on the window and then she's dead. And then in the books, Willy A goes, "I took you," and then she just died. So there's like no like anything. So I'm hoping that they at least give us some story to that. I'm hoping. But that seems to be some of like the larger points. They're going to develop Charlie as a character. I'm kind of feeling like they're going to tie her into Vanessa a little bit and that they were friends. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a tie-in there. So maybe that's like why the puppet's kind of like haunting behind her, like they were friends or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see, which I guess it would make sense that they're friends since, you know, Vanessa's William Athen's daughter and then Charlie's Henry's daughter. So it would make sense that they'd be friends. So I feel like it's going to be a connection between them, and that might prove crucial for the big finale, which I want to, you know, talk about. Obviously, I just want to say I can't confirm nor deny anything I'm going to say is going to actually happen in this movie, but I have a feeling that some of my points are going to actually happen in some way, shape, or form. So I might end up spoiling the movie if I end up being right, but who really knows. So what I mainly want to talk about, though, is its connections to the Twisted Ones. In a way, a lot of the Charlie stuff also connects into that because that was kind of a big point in that book as well, was her trying to figure out like who she is. She goes back to Henry's house and they like look around a little bit. They find the big holes in the ground or the Twisted Ones are buried. So there's a lot of connections between Charlie, who was the main character in those books, and with her being a more important character in this movie. So there's some connections there already. There's the part where is it? It's when Toy Freddy shows up. Where is it? I'm missing it somehow. Where are you, Toy Freddy? When the part where they're like, everybody's gonna die tonight. I don't know where that is. I'm somehow missing that. Yeah, I don't know where the heck that went. But there's the part where they're like, everybody's gonna die tonight. Here, I'll just leave it on this because this also ties into that. So the part where the toys go around and just are killing everybody. That's a very Twisted Ones kind of a thing. And so I brought this up in the last trailer thing, but I want to bring it up here because I think there's even more evidence to this now. The toy animatronics seem to be a sort of substitute for the Twisted Ones in a way. I think that the toy animatronics are going to be purely William Afton's developed animatronic characters. They are strictly his. He developed them. They're completely AI, or I from what I can tell in here, I feel like they're not possessed, at least in the movie universe. Especially when Henry goes, and then after those 5 kids went missing and they show the original 5 missing children, I have a feeling that the toys aren't possessed in the movie. I've kind of changed my opinion on there being a second missing children's incident in the games. I feel like there's not one in the movies. There's not one in the books, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's not one here. And that'd also tie into the fact that if they're just strictly AI, then they follow William Afton's commands. So I think that's going to be a big thing that happens, is that they stand in for the Twisted Ones. They're strictly robots that follow William Afton's commands. I have a feeling he might show up as Springtrap at the end of this movie if my predictions turn out right. So I think that the toys are supposed to be that sort of tie-in. They go around, they're just killing people. They want to kill somebody specific, but they just kind of do whatever. The original animatronics, who I'm assuming are just kind of going to become the Wizards, because I doubt that they're going to have the Wizards and then the originals, so now there's 3 sets of robots running around. I feel like they're going to kind of just explain it away the same way they did in the games, and that they just don't. So I think that they're supposed to be the originals, at least in my mind. I don't know how they get to the FNAF 2 location. I don't know, but maybe the movie will explain. So you have the original animatronics, the Wizards, and I think they're going to be controlled or led by the puppet. Not controlled by the puppet, but led by the puppet. And I think to kind of just sum things down, this specific shot here is a big clue into why I think there's going to be an actual big climactic battle at the end of this movie. So in the Twisted Ones novel, you have a part where Charlie gets like stuck underground, where she goes up against a bunch of Balloon Boy hallucinations, and then she finds herself in an underground pizzeria where there's a artificial river with an artificial cave system around her. People try to describe it as it being a real cave. It's not. It's an artificial cave as it's described in the book. At least I'm like fairly certain on that. So that very much looks like this. There's an artificial river with some different like some side banks to it, and an artificial cave. Almost straight out of the Twisted Ones book. But this specific setting is important because, one, we see that there are balloon boys running around the location, which kind of ties into those hallucinations. I guess they're sound disc illusions, but whatever. But then there's a big climactic battle that takes place in a setting like this. So at the end of the Twisted Ones, which I guess spoilers, but you know, who really cares? So at the end of the Twisted Ones, there's a big fight. Charlie, Officer Clay, or Chief Clay Burke, whatever his name is, and then I think Jessica and John are all in this underground pizzeria in this cave, and then the Twisted Ones show up, and then William Afton shows up, and he's like, "I've been the villain all along," and he like just leaves or something like that. I don't know. But then the Twisted Ones are gonna kill our main characters. But then out of nowhere, the original animatronics show up, and they get into an all-out animatronic brawl. They're fighting each other. Like, Bonnie goes up to Twisted Bonnie, he does like a 1-2 right hook in the face. Like, there's a whole freaking battle between these original animatronics and the Twisted Ones. I think we're gonna see that here. I think how the end of the movie is gonna go, and I don't know for certain whether or not William Afton's going to show up or not as Springtrap. I don't know. I feel like he might if they take a lot from the Twisted Ones. He also might not, but just be confirmed that he's somehow controlling the toy animatronics. I haven't gotten all that figured out yet, but there's going to be a big battle. I feel like there's going to be an actual animatronic battle between the toys and the Wizards. The Wizards are going to be controlled by the puppet, or led by the puppet, like I brought up. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to attack our main characters, but then Charlie's going to reconnect with Vanessa, and they're going to be like, hey, we're still friends, right? There's going to be a reconnection, and then the puppet's going to switch and become a good guy, or like a good person, I guess. And then she's going to lead the other Wizards to be like, hey, we're all good now. And they're going to go up against the toys. There's going to be a big battle. And then something's going to happen. I feel like there's going to be a big reveal at the end of this movie. It's got to end on a bad note, though, because that's how trilogies tend to work. They'll probably make more movies, but so far it's going to be a trilogy. So it's got to end bad, because that's how the middle story always works. The end of the first story is, it's rough. It's not great, but the good guys win. The end of the second story act in a 3-act like main thing is as bad. It's as low as you can get. People are either dead, they're dying, or it's like really bad. I mean, think of stuff like Star Wars, the originals, where it's like episode 1, they destroy the Death Star, yay, but they lost a lot of people. At the end of episode 2, or not episode 2, episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, that's really low. It's really low, like the rebellion's on the brink. There's a little bit of hope, but they're on the brink of destruction. And then the end of Return of the Jedi, it's like, it's big, we killed the Emperor, Darth Vader's dead, but he redeemed himself, and then the Death Star blew up, it's super triumphant. So the end of this movie has to be dark. It has to be the low point. Somebody's either going to die, get kidnapped, disappear. Something bad's going to happen. So after the animatronic big brawl presumably happens, one of our main characters is going to be taken, killed. Something's going to happen. Presumably killed, maybe would be a good way to put it. Something bad is going to happen to our main cast of characters. Because it has to. That's how these sort of stories work. So don't expect this movie to come out with like a big heroic ending. I don't think that's how it's gonna happen, because even the Twisted ones didn't do that. So I think what's gonna happen is something specific here is drawing Vanessa in. She's kind of our stand-in for Charlie in the books, I think. I hope she's not a robot, but there's gonna be something that draws her into this location. So she goes there with Mike. They try to figure things out. Maybe they try to go save Abby, maybe she's there, and then there's the big animatronic brawl. Something happens that leads to them discovering what they were trying to find all along, and something bad happens to our main cast of characters, and presumably William Afton Springtrap, I think, kind of has to show up, at least for a split moment, to give us that setup for the next movie. If he's not in here at all to, say, hey, I'm still the main villain leading things, I think it's going to really feel flat when he shows up in the next movie and he's like, oh, what happened? The toys were going around killing people? Oh, okay. So I think he has to show up to say, hey, I've been controlling things. So presumably he'll show up and something bad will happen to our characters and it'll end on a really low note. I don't have any story details yet. I might still make that a video later on, a quick take where I'll kind of go into more detail on that. But that's sort of my idea right now, is it's going to be a lot about Freddy's past and about Vanessa's past, who Charlie is, all this kind of stuff. I'm hoping Golden Freddy shows up because that was one of the cooler parts of the first movie. So I'm hoping Golden Freddy shows up in a way. But I think it's going to be a lot of exploring the traumatic past of Freddy's, and then seeing that lead into the present day and trying to confront and stop that. I think that's going to be the kind of main point of the movie. So anyway, that's all I really want to talk about. All I really want to do. I really just wanted to give a reaction to this. I probably went a lot longer than I needed to, but whatever. Anyway, that's going to be it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm hyped even more now. That's only... I guess it makes sense that it came out today because it's a month away. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's a month away. So I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of end things off quick here. No outro or anything like that. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I guess we'll do 2 questions. Question 1, what do you think of the movie? Are you hyped? Are you not hyped? What do you think of the movie? And question number 2, do you think Golden Freddy's going to show up in this movie? So answer those 2 if you made it this far in the video. And yeah, with that, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.